What's going on, everybody? You're watching Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, we're going to have a tough conversation around JJ McCarthy and what the Vikings should do this offseason, and if JJ McCarthy and this injury history might potentially derail him being the starting quarterback next season. Now, a lot goes into this, and I can already see the people saying, Patrick, you're flip-flopping on your take last week. You were sky high on JJ McCarthy after the Commanders and the Cowboys game, and I was. Because you know what? J.J. McCarthy played some great football in both of those games. And he was pretty damn good in the first half today. But again, you get new data. You should have a new take. It's not like you just keep your take the same, even if you get new data. And the new data we're getting is J.J. McCarthy got hurt again. And Kevin O'Connell said after the game, says he doesn't know the extent of J.J. McCarthy's right hand injury. McCarthy was wearing a latex-like glove on the hand in the locker room. So that's where we're at right now. But also the good news here, the x-rays were negative per Kevin O'Connell. So I think how this becomes a tough conversation with McCarthy is if he can't play the last two games of the season, which I think it's going to be incredibly unlikely that he can play on a short week against the Detroit Lions and even against that game against the Green Bay Packers, I think it's unlikely that he plays in that one. And even if he does play, he's going to have a bruised, banged up throwing hand. We already saw how that went early on in the season when he was banged up previously. So I think the conversation with J.J. McCarthy gets hard because you think about the last 2 years. This kid's played 8.5 games. Is that enough data to roll into next season considering where most of these games J.J. McCarthy played in, he played bad football. So he hasn't been able to stay on the field, and when he's been on the field, he's been a extremely below average quarterback besides 2 games, which were also against the Cowboys and the Commanders, 2 of the worst defenses in the league. And even today, he looked good in the first half against the Giants, but the Giants have one of the worst defenses in the league. So this conversation becomes tricky where it's like, one, are you going to bank on J.J. McCarthy as your starter next season to just, one, stay out there on the football field? We have no reason to believe that he can do that. And 2, do you have faith in him developing into a franchise quarterback? And I already see people saying, oh, Patrick, Matthew Stafford, he missed 19 games his first 2 seasons. Should the Lions have given up on him? I hear that argument, but also Stafford was going into an organization that was a dumpster fire and had no expectations of winning games. That's not where the Vikings are at. You got one of the best players of all time in Justin Jefferson in his prime. You're going to have Christian Darrisaw coming back next year. You still have a good coaching staff on paper with O'Connell, Flores, and you also have a regime where the coaching staff and the GM, they're kind of on the hot seat next season. Like, if they go 5 straight seasons without a playoff win, they're probably going to get fired if they don't win a playoff game next season. Now, I'm also not saying that, the Vikings need to go out there and trade for Mac Jones and send a second-round pick to San Francisco and have him be your starter. I don't think that's extreme enough. I think the Vikings, and why this offseason can get so crazy is, what if they throw the Tampa Bay Buccaneers a haul for Baker Mayfield? What if they throw the Jacksonville Jaguars a haul for Trevor Lawrence? Now, I think both those organizations are probably have no real interest in moving off their franchise guy, but I think the Vikings are going to have to do something that desperate considering what's going on. And I am a huge McCarthy believer. I believe in his game. I believe in who he is as a person, a quarterback. I think he can be a great leader. He's got that clutch gene. He's got a great live arm. Even, today against the Giants, we saw him take off and use that dual threat ability, but I almost feel like, and I understand Vikings fans, we overreact a ton, as all NFL fans do. It's a week-to-week league. Like, you get new information, you get a new take. That's why we love to call it Overreaction Monday. But I almost feel like Vikings fans are almost underreacting to how serious these injuries are for J.J. McCarthy. He is not a big guy. Like, he has a smaller frame. He's 6'2", about 215 pounds. He clearly can't really take a beating at the NFL level, which we talked about when the Vikings drafted him. So he has had a torn meniscus. He's had a high ankle sprain that's kept him out almost 9 weeks. It's the longest high ankle sprain in NFL history. He's also had a concussion. And now he's got another hand injury. Like, it gets to the point where, yes, you can go bring in a Joe Flacco next year. And he can kind of man the ship. And he can be that franchise quarterback. Or not franchise quarterback. He can be that spot starter while J.J. McCarthy is potentially hurt next season. But is that enough? Would that make Justin Jefferson happy? Because if the season ended right now, would JJ McCarthy be QB1 for the Vikings next season? I don't know if he would. Because how do you look Justin Jefferson in his eyes and say, hey, we're going to run it back with how this season is going, where Jefferson's numbers are at an all-time low, where Vikings aren't winning games. Not saying like their job should be to cater to Justin Jefferson and what he wants, but Jefferson wants to win games. He's the face of your franchise. How could you look at him and be like, hey, we're going to roll with this kid again? We're just going to hope that he stays healthy. We're just going to hope that he can develop into a great quarterback. JJ's had some moments this year. He showed some great flashes. There's just a lot going on right now. And I want to give you guys more thoughts here. It's a lot to unpack, but will JJ McCarthy be QB1 next season for the Vikings? Give me a Y for yes, or give me an N for no. Now we'll dive into more around JJ, but today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. It is a holiday season, and it's the best time of year for sports. You got bowl games, basketball and football matchups, playoff pushes. It is all happening at once, and when you and I are out here making decisions every day, what gifts to buy, what to eat, which game to watch, there's one place where it feels good to be right, and that is Prize Picks. Everyone's favorite Prize Picks holiday promotion is back. 7 days of Picksmas. Prize Picks is giving out 7 days of deals all the way through Christmas Day, including a Christmas Day max discount. Picksmas started on December 20th, so download the app and unwrap those deals. Prize Picks is simple to play. All you got to do is pick more or less on at least 2 player stats. If you guys get your picks right, you can cash in. So download the Prize Picks app today. Plug in that promo code CLNS. Get hooked up with $50 in lineups after you put your first $5 lineup. It's promo code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you put your first $5 lineup. Massive shout out though for 2 Prize Picks for sponsoring today's show. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. All right, so JJ McCarthy today, I thought he showed some good flashes. There's no doubt about it. I thought he had a couple big-time throws. He had a couple really good throws to Jefferson, but also, if I want to play devil's advocate here, yes, the drops, cost McCarthy 30 yards and a touchdown, but also some of his completions were really beautifully designed screens by Kevin O'Connell. And, I just think the Vikings are in such a tough spot right now where it's I think almost an extreme overreaction has to be made because – listen, if we're keeping it a buck, Sam Darnold's going to go out there and win 13, 14 games again. That was one of the worst decisions that this franchise has ever made. I mean, I was saying it. All of the Vikings YouTubers were saying it. The Vikings need to move off Darnold, take the chance on JJ McCarthy. And, on paper, it sounded good. All right, you had Kevin O'Connell, his system. You have, the stacked roster. Let's go all in on free agency. Go get Hargrave. Go get Jonathan Allen. Go shore up that offensive line and go all in on JJ and take the risk. The Vikings took that risk. It didn't work out, but there has to be consequences for it, and I think there will be an overreaction this offseason. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a trade-up for Dante Moore. Maybe it's a trade-up for, if you love, a Ty Simpson or a Fernando Mendoza. It's unlikely that you're able to land one of those guys unless you send a Godfather offer, but then that's where you throw the wrinkle of, you got a trade piece like Jordan Addison. What if you got a trade piece like Jonathan Gennard? What if you package those 2 players, send those 2 plus a couple first-round picks? Let's just say the New York Giants. I know they don't need an edge rusher, but how about the Cleveland Browns? What would they say for the number 2 overall pick? If you sent 13, next year's first, Jordan Addison, Jonathan Gennard, that's a pretty good deal for the Browns. I just think the Vikings and why it's so tough with JJ, and I am a believer in him. Just if he doesn't play the last 2 games, the Vikings are in a tough spot, everybody. And understand, Patrick, you're flip-flopping. It's a flip-flop league. It is what it is. It's tough to just stay to one take. I believe in JJ. But in terms of the direction of this franchise, we all flipped our take on Sam Darnold. We all thought Darnold was going to be the guy heading into Week 18. We're like, guys, we finally have a franchise quarterback. And then Darnold pisses down his leg. And maybe we were a little too reactionary to those 2 games. But it just is how it is. In the NFL, and I feel bad for JJ. I want the Vikings to have a franchise quarterback and develop them, but they're fighting this battle where it's we're developing a young quarterback, but we're also trying to win now, but that young quarterback just can't stay on the field to develop. It's as simple as that. You're trying to win, you're trying to develop a young quarterback. That alone is a tough marriage, but also that young quarterback can't stay on the field and can't develop. He has shown flashes. I think he has shown a lot of strides. I just would feel a lot more confident. Let's just say if JJ's great games this year, let's just say it came against the Green Bay Packers on the road and he lit them up. or he lit up the Chicago Bears on the road. And yes, he's had moments like he went to Detroit, had that really good win, had those clutch throws. He had that moment late in the fourth quarter against the Chicago Bears where he took over that game. Like, he's had moments this year where you see the potential. But, like, can you just trust that he's going to stay healthy? I don't know. It's a tough conversation. I'm not saying I'm right. I could very well be wrong. He could very well be QB1 next year. But if he doesn't play the last 2 games, I just don't understand how that's going to work. It's crazy that we're here right now. It really is. And I feel for JJ first and foremost. And, I think with what we do here and like the job I have, it's, I'm wrong about half the stuff I say and I'm right about half the stuff I say. And, we can all have different opinions on it, but I also do think, though, I think maybe we're underreacting to JJ McCarthy and how serious this injury history is. It's tough, guys. It's tough to develop as a young quarterback when you can't stay healthy. We can talk about all the on-the-field stuff we want, his mechanics, his lower body being connected to his upper body. But at the end of the day, it comes down to just, can you be on the football field when your teammates need you? Because let's just say, what if the Vikings this year, what if this game against the Giants, what if we're fighting for a playoff berth today? And JJ got hurt again, and Max Brosmer had to go in there, and the Vikings lost this game. What are we all saying? We're saying, like, oh, that can't happen. A big reason why the Vikings season has gone the way it's gone is because McCarthy has gotten hurt over and over and over again. It's unfortunate. I feel for the kid. I feel for the fan base. Is what it is. But if you guys made it to the end of today's show, we appreciate you guys for watching. I can't wait to look at the comment section on this one. I'm sure you guys will have a lot of thoughts. But if you guys made it to the end, give me the skull down below. See you guys next time. As always, Skull Backs.